Hello and welcome to the channel. With Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, there are probably a lot of people who are just getting into the Dragon's Dogma series or are returning to the game, so I wanted to share 5 tips to either get started or just to remind you what the gameplay is like. Because Dragon's Dogma is a very unique game, it's almost its own genre. So before we get started, if you don't know me, my name is Calzin, and my goal with this channel is to promote kindness and positivity in the gaming community, and I do that by sharing some of the things that I love about games and some of the wisdom and experience that we can gain by playing games like Dragon's Dogma 2. So let's get into it. Tip number 1 is that the adventure in this game happens not in the storyline. The storyline's all well and good, and it's very interesting, but that's probably the weakest part of the game. The best part of the game is the adventuring, and the adventuring happens when you're walking from one location to another, when you're actually out on the road adventuring. In this way, it kind of creates its own genre, and the only other game that I can relate it to in recent memory would probably be Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where you walk around and you see high points in the distance along the map, and there's like some shiny things or some interesting landmark that is visible on the horizon, and you go to it because it draws your attention. Dragon's Dogma is the same way, where it rewards your adventuring, where if you look around, there are probably things hidden there. After you spend the first hour or 2, if you're like me, creating your character, follow the storyline a little bit because it'll walk you through the perils of travel as well as some of the adventure that you can have. Things just happen naturally in the game. It's like a physics-based combat system that really rolls the dice every time you have an encounter, and it makes the risk tangible. Like any encounter that you have in the game, even if it's just small mobs, could end in your eventual destruction. So it makes every encounter exciting, and that's what I love about it. So the first tip is to embrace the journey rather than the destination. You know, go on the adventure, because that's what this game is about. It's about creating a party and having an actual adventure that you're going to remember for a long time. So the second tip is related to this one, and that is don't be overwhelmed. One of the first choices that you'll be presented is what class to pick. It doesn't matter. This is not a choice that's going to govern your entire playthrough. Pick a class and just try it, because you can change your class essentially at any time, and you won't lose the progress that you've made with that class. In fact, it's a beneficial leveling system where everything that you unlock within that class, there are certain aspects of it that will become accessible even within other classes. It's like a symbiotic relationship between all the classes when you get the passive abilities called augments. So don't be afraid to just pick a class and not like it, because you can change it right away. This is unique among RPGs. There are some RPGs that are just completely open-ended, like the Elder Scrolls series, where the class from Oblivion onward wasn't really determined by your starting pick. You can still change your class dynamically because the classes are comprised of various skills that can be upgraded individually. But in this system, there are classes called vocations, and so don't be scared to select one because it's not going to lock you in. Okay, but yeah, don't be overwhelmed. I remember when I first started the game, the controls felt very difficult to me because there's a lot of different abilities. There's some complication with the class system. The pawns is like a new concept that no other game has used before. It can feel a little overwhelming, and it can also feel very scary traveling and going from place to place with your limited resources, because it's very easy to end an encounter in the death of the Arisen, and then you have to start from your previous save because it has a very strict saving system. The only places you can save, of course, are when you sleep in an inn or at a campsite if you have a camping kit, and then you can save the game in the menu if you're outside of combat, but that's a manual save. So there's an autosave system, but the autosaves happen pretty far apart, so you have to be careful about where you start encounters and when you save and stuff like that. The third tip is that there are secrets literally everywhere in this game. There are chests hidden in the forest, under rocks, in caves, around the bend, behind things, behind buildings. Look and search everywhere and you will be rewarded. This is something that I love about older games that newer games don't really nail that well, is that they reward exploration. Dragon's Dogma and Dragon's Dogma 2, they certainly do this, and I'm so happy that they kept this in the game. And your pawns will help you with this. As you're traveling, your pawn might see a chest. Oh, Arisen, there's a chest there. Or they're like, oh, something caught the light just there. And then it'll appear as an exclamation point on your map. But sometimes they don't catch it and you have to find it yourself. It just depends on the knowledge that the pawn has. So yeah, look everywhere. And you can climb on buildings too. There might be chests on top of buildings or on elevated patios. What are they called? Or you might find what are called seeker's tokens, these little collectibles. But yeah, they're hidden everywhere. So check everywhere. Exploration is the beating heart of this game. Don't be afraid to explore or look behind things or under things, because it's going to reward you. It's going to reward you for that. Tip number 4 is that most quests are kicked off in main cities. You'll find some quests or some side quests out in the world, but most of them, when you return from adventuring, you'll encounter NPCs around the cities. If someone looks interesting or out of place, go talk to them. They'll probably give you a quest. You'll even acquire quests just walking around and hearing things. They'll pop up on your quest log. So go ahead and explore the cities and talk to people if you're interested in questing. There's a lot of quests and some hidden quests and a lot of missable quests in your playthrough. So if you ever feel lost about completing a quest, there is a person called the Oracle in the first big city, Vernworth, that you encounter. They are just to the left of the town square, down the alleyway towards the slums, the common district. And if you go and speak to them, then pay them a little bit of gold, they will give you direction on what to do for the currently active quest that you have equipped. So go to your quest log, select a quest as active or tracked, and then go to the Oracle and they'll tell you what to do next. So that's just like a little in-game tutorial help system that I found very helpful during my first playthrough, because some quests, this game is old style. Some quests don't tell you what to do. They set you up with the premise of the quest, like, hey, there's somebody missing, and then it's up to you to use the context clues to find it out. It's not going to give you a quest marker all the time. You have to actually think, use your brains, and discover the way to finish the quest. So that's another thing I love about the game, is that it uses, a lot of the times, it uses those old style quests. Some of them are more modern style, well, they'll just give you a quest marker and you'll go to it, but a lot of them are not, and that just makes it very memorable for me. Now, the final tip that I want to give you today to get started is that there are 2 ways to fast travel. The first way you'll discover during the storyline at the beginning is by an ox cart. You can pay them like 100 gold. It's pretty cheap, and they'll take you from one location to another. It is a gamble, however, because you often get attacked on the road, and you'll see this as you're walking around and adventuring. Ox carts get attacked left and right. Sometimes they get attacked by elite or large enemies, and then the ox cart can be destroyed, and then you're left to walk anyway. So it's like, oh, well, shoot, I just spent 100 gold and now I have to walk anyway. So there is a little bit of risk there. It can be waylaid by enemies. The second is by fairy stone. There's this item called a fairy stone. They're very rare that you'll find throughout the world. You can purchase them from certain vendors for, I think, 5,000 gold. So it's a little pricey at the beginning of the game, but you can use a fairy stone to travel to a port crystal, which are these static fast travel locations located at major cities throughout your playthrough. They're those purple things. You'll see the camera zoom in on them, and when you click them, it'll give you a tutorial on how to use them. However, these fairy stones are very rare, and like I said, they're expensive, so it's not really worth using them. Now, with the new update, they did introduce what's called an eternal fairy stone, but you'll only acquire that by completing a portion of the main quest. So if you're interested in acquiring that allows you to fast travel more easily, then you can do that. But my recommendation is don't look forward to that too much, because like I said in tip number 1, the biggest part of this game is the adventure. It's the feeling you get when you return to town after a long and arduous, difficult journey. Your health is low. Some of your pawns you may have lost in battle. They may have fallen in battle, and you are just desperate to get back to civilization so that you can recoup and go out again. It's the magic of the pawns talking to one another, gabbing back and forth and making jokes and saying memorable lines and things that you'll remember that make this game unique. And if you rely too much on that fast travel, then it will take away and turn it into into a game rather than an experience. So highly recommend that you try to travel without the fairy stone for the first playthrough, and then for future playthroughs, you'll probably, once you become completely familiar with the map and everything, won't be as necessary. But enjoy the journey. This game is all about the journey. So anyhow, I am glad that more people are playing Dragon's Dogma 2. This is a fantastic and very underrated game, an overhated game, if I might say so myself. I am so glad that they are finally releasing DLC for Dragon's Dogma 2, and once that comes out, I'll make tutorials specific to that new in-game content. But until then, welcome to the party, Arisen. Strength in numbers. Be kind to one another. Go play a good game like Dragon's Dogma 2, and delight in the joy of adventure. I'll see you next time.